Welcome to Machine Learning Lesson 3.1. In this video series of Lesson 3, we're going to explore our next library, Matplotlib, which will allow us to chart our information. Now, using charts can be very beneficial in terms of analyzing data. It's great to look at numbers, but sometimes it's hard to see trends. Whereas a chart, because it's colorful, it's using graphics, you can easily spot, oh, look, I have to look at this outlier. Why is this here? Or, you know what? I didn't realize that my data was all centered around this one area. Again, visually, you can see clumps of information, whereas with the numbers, you might not. So in this video, we're going to explore some of the basics, such as line, scatter, bar, pie charts. And we're also going to talk about how we can decorate our charts a little bit, which can't be understated. Again, because it's visual, the more you can do to make your chart readable, the better it is for you. So let's get to it. So the first thing we have to do is that we have to import our library. So let's do that. Matplotlib. And matter of fact, one of the nice things about these online platforms, or just an ID in general, is that it helps you to do the autocomplete. So there you go. So we're importing our library as PLT, which is our alias. And now we need to get some data. So let's do x equals 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then let's do the same thing for y. So it's almost like a y equals x line. Kind of give you a hint as to what the chart's going to look like. And now let's go for our first basic chart, which is a line chart. They call it a plot. And we'll pass it the two pieces of information, the x and the y's, in order for it to plot. And finally, let's do a PLT show. And there you go. Here's a simple line chart, based off our information. So another chart that is handy is called a scatter chart. And we'll pass it the same thing, x and a y. And let's do the PLT show. What you'll notice in the scatter plot, it's very similar to the line chart, except that it's just the points, data points. Now, because this is a straight line, our data forms a straight line. We're not getting much out of this. But in real data, a scatter, as the name implies, means our data is going to be scattered all over the place. So it's going to be nice for us to be able to do a scatter plot and perhaps also superimpose a line chart on it, which is what we're going to do in the next step. So let's do our PLT plot of our x and a y. And now let's do our PLT scatter of our x and a y. And then let's do the PLT show. Okay. Actually, just for the sake of doing it a little bit differently, I'm going to do the scatter plot first. Because normally that's what I would do. I would do the scatter plot for our information, and then our line chart could be possibly our line of best fit, which you'll learn more about in machine learning. Essentially, it's called linear regression, which is one of the machine learning models that we will explore. All right, so here we go. So we can see here's our scatter plot, which are the dots, and the line that goes through all of them, which is our plot function, our line function. But if you notice, it's a little hard to kind of distinguish between because they're both the same color. So why don't we do this? Let's do our line chart with a different color. So let's color it red. And you'll notice that it's kind of hard to see the blue dots underneath it. So let's also do this. There is an option for doing an alpha, which is a transparency. And it's a number between 0 and 1, where 1 means it's solid color, 0 means it's fully transparent, or in other words, invisible. So let's just do the 0.4, which is a little bit skewed on the more transparent side. Okay, so that makes it easier for us to be able to see the blue dots through the line. So what else can we do? Because now we're gonna explore things about the chart. So every chart should have a title. So guess what? It's real nice. We could just say, PLT title, and let's give it a title. So let's say Y equals X line. Make that a capital X. Let's run it. Cool. Pretty straightforward. So now we should probably label our axes. So let's do a PLT X label. And I have no idea what should we, I'm not too creative. Let's do X axis. And let's do the same thing for our Y axis. Yeah, normally, I mean, you would have something like, this is your price, and, this is the year of the car. Again, I'm kind of getting ahead of myself a little bit in terms for the next lesson, because we're going to be dealing with the car's data, and we're going to try to visualize a little bit of that. So what else can we do? So it'd be nice for us to have a legend here, so we kind of see what we're looking at. Now, in order to do a legend, most likely you're going to want to label your data. So we're going to label this one, label equals, not getting too creative. This is called data, and I'm not going to label this anything. We'll say label equals nothing. Okay, so now that we've labeled both our charts, what we can do is we can say PLT legend. And there you go. So you get a nice little legend. Again, and this will make more sense if you end up plotting more things on your data set. So let's line. Okay, so just so you can see, I mean, if we had given the second plot, the second graph actually a label, it will pop up on our legend as well. So you've kind of seen some of the basics. What I want to cover now is just some of the other charts that you can use. And obviously, hopefully you'll feel comfortable. It's not hard. It's more about what you do with the capabilities than the actual mechanics of it. So let's do a bar chart. Sometimes bar charts are easier to interpret some information. So same thing, you just feed it the two pieces of information. And then let's show it. And there's your bar chart. Again, not too exciting because of the data that we've used. Again, hopefully in the next lesson, when we actually use some real data, you might see, okay, you know what? This is useful to use this type of chart. Another very popular chart is the pie chart. Now, the pie chart's a little bit different than the other ones in that it only takes one parameter. All right. All right, so we can see here, here's the 1, 2, 3, 4, and then the 5. Again, and there's things that you can do to label this. You can definitely do a legend, so you can see what each of the colors are. Again, I'm gonna leave that more as an exploration for you. This is the basics of how to do a chart. So let's go back to our presentation. So we talked about how using the Matplotlib library, we can visualize our data. And visualizing the data is definitely easier than just looking at numbers. Again, things seem to pop out at you. And we reviewed some of the basic types of graphs, which are the line, the scatter, the bar, and the pie chart. So hopefully you got a sense of what we can do, and you'll get a chance to try it on the next lesson. Enjoy.